stand up, find ourselves maybe toward the front half of your mat, or really anywhere that you're comfortable is fine, but the important thing is that you're standing a little bit wider than hip distance. Your feet can turn out slightly, so your toes are just turning out. The knees are pretty relaxed here. And then it involves 3 body movements where we sniff in through the nose a little bit of air with each movement. So all together, this is going to be one big breath. The first 3 sniffs go like this. It's like sniff as we lift our arms. We sniff again as we bring our arms out to the side. One more time as we lift them up. And then we blow out as we fold forward. Okay? And we're going to do this a few times so you'll be able to kind of find your own pace and your own rhythm as we go. So start by finding your stance. You could have your legs wide. Let's do a little bit of warming up before we get into it. So we'll do, I think Kelsey called these bear twists. Just letting your spine spiral, your arms will kind of flop a little bit. You can bend your knees here, and throughout this whole exercise we're going into, I want you to really let your knees bend. Your feet can always lift up. Maybe you want to shake your hands a little bit as we do these spirals. And then coming to stillness, bring your arms out and up along your ears, gazing up, and then knit your rib cage in. So engage your core, tuck your tailbone. Hands can stay separated, or we can clasp opposite elbows here. Rolling your underarms open and bringing your biceps along your ears. Inhale as you reach through crown of head. As we exhale, we're going to bend over to the right. Try to keep your feet equally planted. Again, your arms can be extended or clasped. It's up to you. So now you'll feel your left foot really sinking down, and then we're stretching the left side of the body. So you might feel like a long line of energy as we stretch that side body. Try to keep your head and neck still aligned with your spine. 3 more breaths here. Last exhale, maybe we deepen this stretch a little bit, and then with the inhale, we rise back through center, and exhale, bend the other way. Side bend to the left now. Feeling your right foot grounding. You're kind of lifting up through that top elbow or that top arm if it's extended. Head and neck are at neutral, and then you can look straight ahead or upwards. Let's do 3 more breaths on this side. One more exhale. Inhale up through center, gaze up towards your hands, and with an exhale, let your hands come to heart center, resting at your sternum. Thumbs just fall to the sternum. If you're more comfortable doing so, just rest your palms there instead. And just closing your eyes and take some very big, deep breaths into your low belly. Starting to lengthen your breath, starting to use more of your lungs. And if you'd like, you can set a little intention or a mantra for this class. If there's just a short word or phrase that helps you to stay grounded and peaceful, it could just be the word peace or love, or if you like Sanskrit, maybe shanti, peace. Setting that in your heart and your mind to give an anchor for the class as we find our moving meditation. One more exhale here. And blinking your eyes open, we'll try breath of joy. So you can watch me a few times if you want before you try it on your own. Again, it goes like this. Bend your knees, sniff, 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 blow. When you get to the bottom, hang out there in a forward fold. This is where you can use the blocks if you want. Under your hands, you can maybe paddle your legs. You can let your head and neck be heavy. You could roll out your head and neck here. So taking as long as you like in the forward bend, and then we'll roll back up to standing, and we're just going to find our own pace. So you can do it on your own. So that exhale is very releasing, and you're kind of just throwing your torso toward the ground, shaking out, feeling any tensions kind of rolling off of your head and your neck. And then in your own time, you can come back up and do it again. We'll do about 3 to 5 of these on our own. If you'd rather hang out in forward fold, that's fine too. It's your practice. This is your time to explore your body and your breath. It's called Breath of Joy because it's supposed to be quite uplifting and powerful. So maybe you decide to smile for your last couple repetitions and imagine yourself more playful in these movements. Just do 1 or 2 more of these on your own. Last one when you're ready. And then we're going to meet in standing, mountain pose. Just taking a few breaths when you get there. Walk your feet in a little bit so they're about hip distance and parallel. Feel the weight distributed in your feet. Feel your shoulders loose. You can even shake them out a little bit. And maybe you want to let your chin drop down to your chest here. Engage through your core and your thighs. If you'd like, you can bring your hands to the back of your head and give a little traction, a little stretch for your neck. You can bring your elbows toward each other and maybe even round like you're scooping out your belly a little bit there. Releasing your hands with this next exhale. And then maybe we roll our head and neck a little bit, bringing one ear to one shoulder, and then the other way. And once you come up to neutral, take an inhale. Exhale, just look to the left. Just bring your chin in line with your left shoulder. Turn your palms open so that your shoulders are being externally rotated. Good. Inhale with me. Exhale, chin to center. Inhale. Exhale, turn the other way. One breath. And then back to center. So we'll set up our first yin posture now. It's going to be a 3-minute hold in supported bridge. So we'll come down to our mats. We're coming down onto our backs. Really great to have a block if you can. It might be helpful to have a blanket under your body, especially if you feel like that would be helpful, like under maybe your spine. Have your block nearby. I'm going to try to position myself so hopefully everyone can see me all right. If you want, you can lay back onto the blanket. Again, that is optional. You don't have to use a blanket. The block is handy. We'll plant our feet down and then walk your heels in pretty close to your glutes. And you want to visualize your feet and make sure that they're parallel with each other. So you want your feet to be right under your knees and parallel. If you need to take a few moments to get settled here, you can tick-tock your feet from side to side. You could hug one or both knees into your chest, and that can help to release the spine. You could roll a little bit from side to side if you decide to do that. And then when you're ready, planting your feet down, find that placement again. Heels are in pretty close to your glutes. Feet are parallel and your heels are right under your knees. Then we'll reach down with our arms and push into our hands as we exhale, inhaling to lift your hips. You could start by reaching both of your hands under your body, interlacing your knuckles and squeezing your shoulder blades together. Keeping your head and neck in neutral here. Push into your feet and engage through your thighs. Feels like your heart is coming towards your chin, but your chin stays right where it is. Try not to look from side to side here. Just look straight up toward the ceiling. And then when you're ready, reach over, take your block, place it under your sacrum. It can be on any level. So the block has 3 levels. There's a shorter, middle, and a high level. You can choose. Place it right under your sacrum. That's that flat bone at the base of your spine. When you lower your hips down, you want to feel stable. So it's not wobbly. If it's wobbly, you need to reposition. Once your hips are on the block, you can be a little more free with your legs. If you feel like it's better for your body to let your heels slide away a little bit or widen, that is fine. And your arms can be free as well. Turn your palms toward the sky, and then you can move your arms in any placement that feels helpful for you. Sometimes we do sort of like a snow angel here until we find that perfect placement. And then now we will settle in for 3 minutes in this pose. We want to think about really bringing the breath into our low bellies here. So let your belly rise with every inhale and fall with each exhale. Noticing that when you breathe in, your belly rises up. When you breathe out, your belly falls toward the ground. This is a heart opener, and a big part of feeling abundance in our life is feeling fulfilled in our hearts. Are we abundant in love? Are we abundant in our acceptance of ourselves and others? Are we abundant in family or friendships? Perhaps in this posture, just connecting, thinking about the ways that you are already abundant in your life, in your experience. About 1 minute longer here. Just relaxing into the pose. Let your body become heavier, sinking into the ground. And 3 more breaths. See if you can make these the most long and slow breaths you've taken so far today, and letting them really come down, expanding your Buddha belly with every inhale, and releasing that Buddha belly with every exhale. After that final exhale, we'll do kind of a fancy transition here. You might have to really listen carefully, especially if you're in the back row and it's a little harder to see. What we're going to do is reach one hand down toward the block. Bring your feet back in so they're right under your knees and they're parallel. And as you inhale, push into your feet and lift your hips. Lift the block up. Bring it straight up from your chest, so your hands are on either side of the block. Yeah. And then from there, lift your heels off the ground. Inhale with me. As you exhale, start to lower down one vertebra at a time. And at the same time, you're just gently lowering the block up above your head. So as your spine lowers down, you're also bringing the block toward the ground. Eventually the block will come to the earth, but keep your hands connected to it. Push your heels into the mat and then roll your underarms open toward the ceiling and energetically, actively push the block as far away from the crown of your head as you can. You might use your fingertips to push it even farther, and in that way we're stretching through our arms. Underarms are just rolling open. One more inhale here, maybe pushing a little more into your heels. And then exhale, one hand comes to your heart, one hand to your belly, and we'll tick-tock the knees from side to side. Windshield wiper your knees out here. When you're ready, we'll roll onto one side of the body for just a couple breaths. And then gently push our way up to seated to set up for our next posture. It's still a lying down pose, but I want to show you how this setup works. I'm always moving around in here so everyone can see me. So for this one, since we have so many props from the cacao meditation, we're going to use them. So I'm going to show you some of my favorite ways to set this pose up, so you can decide how you want to take it, and then we'll hold this one for 4 minutes. So it's Supta Baddha Konasana, which is supine bound angle. Personally, I love having a small skinny bolster or something like this under the spine. You can also use like a rolled up blanket. And then we might also need either 2 blocks of the same size or 2 cushions of about the same size. All right, so I'll show you how this looks and then you can find it in your body. So bringing your hips to the end of that small skinny bolster, you're gonna lower yourself down onto it. You really wanna make sure it's perfectly lined up with your spine, so it's not crooked. And then when you get down there, you'll bring your legs into a diamond shape. And that's where, if it's hard to hold your legs that way for 4 minutes, you need to add something under your thighs or your knees to support them. Because you don't want to feel like you're fighting gravity the whole time. You want to feel like you can kind of give yourself to gravity. And sometimes it's about like really sticking that padding up a little higher towards your hip, or you might need it more down toward the knee or the ankle, so you can adjust until you feel like, okay, I can stay here for 4 minutes. And make sure that bolster under your spine is nice and straight. And then again, arms can come to any placement. Sometimes it feels nice to have them on the belly and you can kind of feel your breath, or you could bring them out. Again, you could do snow angel, or maybe bend your elbows like a cactus. Find a nice stretch in your chest and shoulders. Take a big inhale, and as we exhale, just let gravity take over. Give your body to gravity. Let your bones become heavy, sinking into the ground. And again, you can stay here. Just breathe and relax. Sometimes read quotes during the longer holds. And today I just actually have a reading from our 200-hour teacher training manual. So we'll just read little bits of this as we go through. This is a little bit of a continuation of our cacao meditation, I guess, where we talked a lot about light and love and bringing light in. The pure nature of living intuitively and creating a luminous body filled with light, energy, and boundless happiness is contagious. The environment improves because we're naturally more mindful of our interaction with it. Through our harmless, peaceful state, we find that by not damaging those around us, the environment, the food supply, the air, and even the energy of our surroundings and the people living in them begin to exhibit the luminous state, and it spreads. What we find is that our energy is expansive and endless. About 1 more minute here. If you feel like you need to adjust, you can always move props around to make it work for you. Taking 1 more full yogic breath here to finish this pose. When you're ready, start to move fingers and toes a little bit, reawakening. We can push our hands into the ground along our bodies and tuck our chins and bring our knees back up. Now, we're all kind of in a different place in the room, so what I want you to do is turn onto one side of your body so you can see me. And you might even need to switch where your head is more toward the center. Just kind of play around with it and see how you can get on one side. So since we'll all be facing different directions, I'm not going to use left and rights. I'm going to use tops and bottoms. What we want to do at first is we can move the bolster that was under our spine. You can put it near the top of your mat. You might end up using it as a pillow. The one that's behind your body, you can move it to. Just move it out of the way. Lay on your side so that you're propped up on the bottom elbow. So it's right under your shoulder. You got it? Yeah. Your legs are bent here. And then what we're going to do is take the top leg and bring it forward and place it on a bolster or a block. Yep. And then we start to bring the bottom leg back and see if you can reach back with your top hand and clasp it. This is a posture called, kids love this when I say the name, cat pulling its tail. Okay, so if you feel like a cat pulling its tail, then you're probably doing it right. How do cats pull their own tail? Anyways, so there's a few different ways you can do it. You can stay up like this. You can release the hand for a moment to let it guide you. Bring your upper body down, and then you're twisting. Your shoulders are kind of coming toward the ground. As you reach back, you're still trying to clasp that bottom foot back there. There we go. So finding what works for you. If you need to be more up on your elbow, that is fine. Can be kind of a deep twist and a deep experience. The bottom leg is probably getting a quadricep stretch. And if you want to feel that more, you can kind of activate your toenails into your hand. Now, if it's hard for you to reach that bottom foot, we can use a strap. If you want, I can bring you a strap. I have plenty for everyone. So give me a wave if you want to try a strap here. If you're like, okay, I'm feeling this and it doesn't hurt my back at all and I want to go deeper, then you would just remove that prop from under your top knee. And you can also think about trying to bring your shoulders both to the ground a little bit more. We won't hold this one for quite as long because it does tend to be a deeper stretch for most of us. If it hurts your spine, you want to come out a little bit and readjust. The hand that's just not doing anything, if you want, you can bring it to the top knee, and that can help to deepen the twist. So let me check in with everybody. If you feel pain in this posture, let me know with a little hand signal. Okay, good. So if no one's in pain, we can hold it for at least 1, maybe even 2 minutes. This really is the traditional yin style, is to hold these postures. But you're not really holding. What you are doing is placing yourself in a certain alignment, and then it's more of a letting go, actually, where you scan through your body and try to release any areas that might be gripping or tense, any muscles that are engaged that don't need to be engaged. Relax into it. Again, your head might be on a bolster or it could just be on the ground. If it's too much to keep holding that bottom leg, just let it go. Just let it fall away from your hand. That's fine. Maybe 3 more breaths here. If you want to deepen the twist in your neck, you could turn your gaze away from the top knee for these last couple breaths. Last exhalation when you're ready. And then releasing everything. Use your core, maybe even using your arms to bring your knees back up. We're finding neutral on our backs once more. So push into your feet. Bring your hips and your knees to square. You might need to release your spine. You could tick-tock your knees. And then we're definitely going to want to hug the knees in for a bit here to release the spine. If you're still on your blanket and it feels like it's interfering, then just move it out of the way. I think I'm going to move mine actually. So hugging the knees in when you're ready, and your options are to keep the hands on the shins or the kneecaps and hug them in, or you can try flexing your feet, soles of the feet toward the ceiling and reaching up for a happy baby. Yeah. And that's another option. And then you get a bit of a hip stretch there too, and you can rock your body a bit from side to side if you would like, as you breathe. This is also a yin posture, so sometimes we hold this pose for several minutes. Today we'll probably just do a couple minutes here. It's such a good one for the kidneys and the low back, especially if you think about grounding through your tailbone. but you're also focusing on bringing your shoulders toward the ground. When you do that, you might feel the back of your neck lengthen a bit. And then you can also step your feet into your hands while pulling your hands down against your feet. And that's some resisted rotation in your arms and your shoulders. Yeah, good. A few more breaths. When you're ready, we'll begin to move to cat, pulling its tail on the other side. Take your time. If you'd like more time here in this spinal release, feel free. And then when you're ready, we'll roll to the other side of our bodies. And again, you'll want to bring something over there so that you have a prop for your top leg. And maybe you want to start lifted up a little bit on your forearm, your elbow right under your shoulder, as you find stability on your side body. And then remember, the top knee comes forward and we can rest it on the prop. That's about 90. You can also play around with straightening that top leg, which makes it even deeper of a twist. Maybe try that in a minute here. Then the bottom leg shifts back and we're reaching the top hand back to clasp the bottom foot from the outside to get that external shoulder rotation. We all need more of that. You can stay up on your forearm or you can release and use your hands to guide your body down so that it's more your shoulders on the ground. The more you try to bring both shoulders to the ground, the deeper this twist will become. And to emphasize the quadricep stretch on the lower leg, you can kind of activate your toes into your hand a little bit. Again, if you'd like to try straightening that top leg, feel free, or you could remove your prop to deepen the twist. You could also take a hand to the top knee. Another option could be to turn your gaze away from it to twist into your neck. We'll hold for a couple minutes here. Holding but releasing into the hold as much as you can. You can always make a shift if you feel you need to move a little bit to find that ability to let go. Staying with it, breathing into it. And peacefully bringing your mind back to your intention that you're working with. You can stay in perhaps another minute, another 10 to 15 breaths. Three more breaths on your own. When you're ready to come out of the pose, release everything, and then this time let's see if we can actually roll onto our bellies from here. If you need to turn so your head is toward the center, feel free. You can also have your head the other way. It doesn't bother me at all. I just want you to feel like you're still connected to the class. So lying on your belly, and just take a spinal reset here in crocodile pose. So we'll bring our forearms, our elbows right underneath of our shoulders, and we can actually start this with Sphinx pose. I love it. If you're facing away from me, this is perfect because it's a great opportunity to connect your body and mind by listening rather than watching. So make your forearms parallel and your middle fingers parallel, and your elbows are right under your shoulders. Look back and see that your legs are relaxed hip distance. They're loose. And then looking forward, push down deeply through your open palms, through your forearms and your pelvis as you exhale. And then from that place, inhale and lift your chest forward and up into Sphinx. Yeah, exactly. Forearms are pushing down. It almost feels like your forearms are also pulling back against the mat a little bit, but they don't move. It's an isometric contraction. You can either keep your head and neck lifted, or you can relax your head and neck down toward the ground and let it hang. This isn't actually crocodile just yet, so let's just take 3 more breaths here in Sphinx, a thoracic spine bend. That middle part of your back is getting some opening. When you're ready to move into crocodile, you keep that little bit of a lift in your chest, so you're kind of still up with the bottom of your rib cage on the ground. And then we just wrap our hands around our elbows and move them forward so that you can keep a little lift in your shoulders, but you can bring your forehead down to rest on one of your forearms. You really want to pressurize the pineal gland, the space between your eyebrows, the third eye. Let it really push down into your forearms. And then we'll try some nice abdominal diaphragmatic breathing here. So as you inhale, notice your diaphragm moves down. You can feel your low belly kind of puff out. Your rib cage expands, your shoulders expand, and as you exhale, your diaphragm moves back up. Take 3 more breaths. And putting pressure on this part of our skull helps to activate our brains at the center line. There's a lot of gray matter there. Our pineal gland, like I said, and we're bringing energy to that space, which can create balance between our brain hemispheres. After your last exhale there, lift your head slightly and just kind of change your crossing of your forearms a little bit so that when you lower your forehead down, it lands on the other forearm. It might feel a little more like it's landing on your wrist. That's fine too. Take a few breaths there, that diaphragmatic breathing, feeling the breath move down and expand your low belly, your rib cage. You'll probably feel that as a 3-dimensional expansion through the side bodies, the back bodies. Now, when you're ready, lift your head and release your arms. Release them alongside your body with your palms up and just let one ear fall to the ground. You can kind of wiggle your ankles, or you can even bend your knees and tick-tock your feet to release your spine. Then go ahead and turn your face the opposite direction to balance through your neck. Big inhale into your low belly. When you're ready to exhale, open your mouth and sigh. You can do that a couple more times on your own. You don't have to sigh necessarily, but let it be a big open mouth exhale where you feel like you're releasing. Then when you're ready, gently bring your hands right under your shoulders and inhale, push into your hands and knees. Rising up to table, you might turn now so your head is toward the center of the room. And we'll just do a few little cats and cows to release our spine. So we can round the back into cat pose. As you exhale, you can shift around a bit. And then when you're ready, inhale into cow. Lower your belly, lift your crown of head and tailbone. Moving through these on your own, at your own rhythm and pace, and feeling free to pause if there's a place that feels like it needs a little extra movement or love. These could also become a little bit more like spirals through our spines. Doesn't have to be just one directional front to back. You can move the hips or the shoulders, the head and the neck. And then eventually follow that wave-like motion of your spine back into a child's pose, where we bring the big toes together and we spread the knees out wide, sinking the hips down to our heels, extending our arms forward. Forehead can rest on a block. And you can either keep your hands extending and active at first, or you can add a tricep stretch by looking up, bringing your palms together. Slide them out as far as you can, and then exhale, ground through your elbows. Bend your elbows as you lower your forehead down, and your thumbs will find the C7 is that vertebra that sticks out the most. That's probably right about where your thumbs are going to fall. Or you could turn your palms to the back of your shoulders, kind of symbolic of sending some love to your past. This is our heart chakra. The front of our heart chakra represents our current reality and our life moving forward, and the back of our heart represents our past. And so sometimes if we feel a lot of tension back here in between the shoulder blades, there could be some unresolved stuff we need to heal from our past. We can use our yoga, our deep breathing, our energetic awareness to move that density, move that energy around, releasing it eventually. Almost like we're peeling it away. One or two more breaths here on your own. You can stay longer if this is your jam right now. If you need more time here, feel free. Otherwise, when you're ready, begin to come up toward kneeling. And we're going to make our way into legs up the wall. So we'll be in legs up the wall for final meditation tonight. So we want to make sure we're quite comfortable. And I'll show you a strategy I like to use to get there, which is just to, you can move your mat so it's closer. You can add blankets or padding as needed. And then I just like to place one hip all the way up to the wall. Oops, nice. I'm just getting used to my new tripod and it's a tiny bit floppy. Figure it out. All right, so then one hip comes to touch the wall, sitting right next to it as close as you can get, and then from there we kick our legs up. Your arms can really, literally come to any placement. Doesn't matter. And at first, maybe we do some movement in our ankles and our feet. We could roll them out. We could flex and point. This is just an opportunity for freedom of movement or stillness. So if you don't want to move, just keep your legs in the middle and relax them. Might feel kind of interesting to do a figure 4 on each side for a few breaths. So let's start with the right side. Bend the right knee and cross your ankle over your left thigh. So that's above your left knee. And then to deepen this hip stretch, just point your left toes into the wall. And you can even start to slide that heel down toward the ground, and then we should feel probably a pretty good stretch in the right hip here. Just take a few breaths there, relaxing into it. Feeling free to stay with this stretch longer if it's feeling really good, or you can switch sides when you're ready just by extending the right leg and crossing the left ankle over your thigh. Again, you can point your toes into the wall and slide your heel down to deepen that hip stretch. When you find the stretch that feels good for you, just relaxing into it. You might need to use your left hand to kind of stabilize the knee. That's fine. Whatever you need to do. You all can stay here longer. I'm going to come out, but you can stay. A few more breaths in the hip stretch on this side. And again, you can stay with the hip stretch for longer, or when you're ready to kind of move into a final meditation, release from it and just let both of your legs come straight up the wall. If you're more comfortable V'ing them out or taking butterfly legs like we did earlier, feel free. Just shift and move a little bit until you feel like you can relax here. And you can be here for a few minutes for a final meditation while we absorb our practice. This is a chance for your nervous system to absorb all the work you've just done. This is where the muscle memory occurs. Also, in legs up the wall, we get an inversion, which is good for our blood pressure and lymphatic system and perspective. I'm just going to pause from talking for a couple minutes here. Allow you to have a little time in quiet stillness. Then I'll let you know when it's time to come out. Om Shanti 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 Hi. Peace, peace, peace. Before we come out of our meditation, just taking a moment to feel, notice how you feel right now. Whatever gifts you may have received, bring them with you as you start to emerge. Breathe those gifts from your practice into your body, into your mind. And then when you're ready to do a little bigger movement, you could start to wiggle fingers and toes or roll your head. And eventually you can roll onto one side and come through the fetal posture, perhaps taking some time there. On your way up toward a seated pose. You can lean against the wall if you want, or sit up on a bolster or a blanket. And sit up nice and tall, feel your sternum lift, feel your collarbones broaden, crown of head lift. Hands could once more come to heart center or palms to feel, rest on your heartbeat. Take a cleansing breath. We'll close our practice with one optional Om. Inhale. Thank you so much for practicing tonight. I wish you a beautiful weekend. Namaste.